That's fantastic. That's great. Cool. Right, let's start then. Okay, so we've only got 30 minutes, but welcome to the session on lean learning processes. My name's Dave Brunt and I manage the activity at the Lean Enterprise Academy, and I'm joined by our founder and chairman, Dan Jones, today. I'm sure many of you will be aware, but for those that are new to LEA, Dan founded our organisation over 20 years ago as a not-for-profit, and our aim is to help people become self-reliant on their lean journey. We've got products and services that we offer to customers based around 3 key value streams. That's learning, teaching and coaching and sharing. And at the intersection of each of these processes is our Lean Learning Journey platform, where we're writing down in a usable form the key knowledge required to learn and implement Lean. The materials are organised around the Lean Transformation Framework, which I'm sure a number of you will have heard John Shook speak about. And we both research and develop that with partner organisations. Okay, so with the introductions out of the way, let's move on to today's content. We're going to go through a little bit of theory, and then we're going to have a chat about what we see and what we think are the gaps in the way that most people approach Lean, and then offer some reflections. And we'll discuss some of the key dimensions to think about when learning Lean. These include the key questions and the alternative ways to develop skill and capability development. Finally, we'll discuss what we've been developing, in particular our Teach Poster concept and our online learning platform, and then we'll take some questions. So we use something called the Lean Transformation Framework, and that's a set of questions to think about when embarking on using lean thinking. One of the main reasons that we use the LTF is to be conscious of the potential failure modes of applying lean thinking and practice so that we can avoid them. And of course, as anybody that's done any of this for a little bit of time, you'll know that there are lots of potential failure modes, but here are the ones that we see most frequently. First is saying we need to do lean, but really not being clear on the purpose for doing so. Secondly, focusing on the technical and ignoring the social side of any changes that we make, or conversely, focusing on the social and ignoring the technical. In addition, going broad before going deep, the inch deep, mile wide view versus the inch wide, mile deep view. Trying to go too fast, outstripping ability to develop capability, versus going too slow and losing sense of urgency and the sense of excitement that speed brings. Letting perfection be the enemy of the better, or settling for better instead of perfection. Not being mindful of culture or underlying thinking, or being overtly cautious of culture so that it becomes an excuse. And losing sight, really, that lean means to learn how to solve problems to achieve purpose at every level, a fractal view of this in every activity. Okay, so I suppose we've quite a few people, and I'm sure that many of you have have been doing lean for some time. A quick question, really. Have you developed learning processes for developing lean thinking and practice in your organization? Many organizations think they do. And if you do or don't, then let's reflect on the way that you teach lean. Your process may have been left behind by some outside consultants, or your process may have been developed by people with previous experience of lean brought into the organization. So when conducting the reflection, let's firstly ask, why is the work you are doing necessary? What's the purpose of the way that you teach lean? We think it's important, really, for the outcome to be that people are self-reliant in doing this. The idea being, give a person a fish and you feed them for the day, teach them how to fish and you feed them for a lifetime. We also think that it's really important to understand capability development and how that's done. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on a subsequent slide. Having reflected on purpose, where do you think having reflected on purpose, where do you think, where do you do your education? Is it classroom based? Is it workplace based? Or is it a combination? If it's a combination, does it mirror the capability diagram above? We can get knowledge in the classroom or online, but we can't get capability. Next, when do you conduct these processes? Are they big batches, or are they done as continuous learning flow? So often the metric's about the number of people that are trained rather than the effectiveness of learning as a journey. Who does the teaching? Outside consultants, inside consultants, or leaders? If it's primarily the first two, do you have a process to transfer the teaching to the leaders? If you answer each of these W's, then you can move on to reflect about how. How is the best way to achieve your purpose? One way you can design good learning processes is by addressing the 5 W's to H around the way that you develop lean thinking and practice in your organization. Dan, thoughts, comments? We can't hear you. We could hear you before at the beginning. You're currently muted. No, you're not muted. No, you can't. Oh. Let me just try and have a look at this from this side. Just one sec. I can hear you now. No. Now we can't hear you, Dan. It was working fine at the beginning, but it's not working now. I'll just send Roberto a text and see whether he can help. Okay, in lieu of time, let's just carry on. Let's see whether we can try and get this sound thing working by the as we move forward. Let's just take to there. Okay. Right. Okay. So to recap, the materials and processes that organizations need should be based on this fundamental principle. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. We've done a lot of work and research to understand how to learn lean most effectively. And we know that from practical application, skill or capability development is best described as a journey. That is a guided learning path, progressing from awareness and knowledge of a subject through understanding, being capable, and finally to being able to teach and coach others. Of course, today on a webinar, it's all about knowledge, skill level 1, the start of the learning journey. To become capable, however, you need to practice, and that's best done on issues at the workplace, and we'll discuss this piece about practice a little later. That's why learning lean is best described as a journey, not an event. It's not based on achieving a belt. And really this approach mirrors what we know from the way that excellent companies like Toyota develop capability. It's simple and effective. It uses a plan, do, check, act methodology at each stage. Okay, so who should do the teaching? Of course, the answer is in the situation, but in a truly lean organization, part of the leader's role is to develop people, but to develop people in what? Leaders need to be the teachers and coaches of others, developing problem-solving capabilities to help create a foundation for further improvement. The method to do this is what we call management routines. The purpose is to put structure and accountability around leadership to verify process performance, demonstrate and encourage the right behaviors at the workplace. By doing this, it provides triggers for them to teach, coach, recognize and feedback to team members. And this should happen at all levels of the organization. So that's where this idea of the teach poster comes in. For a sustainable lean transformation, we believe in this concept of leaders as teachers. That is, leaders who take time to teach and coach their team on the job to develop their capabilities rather than relying on separate functions to do it for them. As you know, the benefits of doing this are huge in terms of advancing your lean journey better, faster and cheaper. The challenge is, however, how to provide learning processes for leaders to be able to do this effectively, including materials that enable leaders to do this effectively. So we found that the teach poster concept works best. It's our current standard. So rather than a 100-page PowerPoint slide deck, a poster distills the subject matter down onto one piece of paper, a little bit like an A3. Whilst initially the poster looks busy and a bit complicated, when backed up with job instructions for the images, leaders find that the poster is quite easy to use and also much more informal than sitting down in a classroom looking at a screen. All the posters have a similar layout, structure, and visuals, making them easy to follow and remember. And as you can see, images and pictures are used over words to stimulate interest and discussion. A facilitation guide is written for each poster, covering a little bit like job instruction, important steps, key points and reasons why for each of the images to assist the leader when starting out to teach. And finally, the poster can be put up in the workplace for future reference rather than being hidden on a PC. Okay, so I suspect many of you are sitting there thinking, well, that's all very good, but the real issue for me is how how do I learn this well as an individual or cascade it successfully in my organization? Skill development shouldn't be done as a quick one-off training activity to achieve a certificate or belt, but should be viewed as a supported and progressive skills development journey. Real learning and skills are achieved through on-the-job practice with support, just like learning to drive. My youngest daughter was 17 on Monday, and I'm finding that out as we speak. So to build a true lean culture in an organization, it can only be done when the line leadership become the teachers and coaches. So the thinking way and the behaviors become embedded at every level in the organization. So here's an example. It's our lean learning journey for performance management. And the idea is to gain some initial basic knowledge around purpose, process, and people, get familiar with the subject. And then there's a level 1 course on the web in order to be able to use that. Next step is then to gain some deeper understanding, some key minimum requirements to be able to develop your own performance management system to a successful standard. And that should be taught through practice by using some simulations, some video, etc. And this way you can reflect on the implementation exercises and learn from your mistakes. Level 3 is aimed at making you capable through step-by-step implementation in your own workplace, coached by somebody. And it's recommended that you start off in one pilot area with maybe only one team, and then you give this multiple passes of plan, do, check, act learning, so then the behaviors get embedded. And then level 4 is that if you have a role as a leader, then we recommend that you think about how you're going to teach and coach others. And that's a separate process again. So here we recommend more experience through completing multiple implementations. And then depending on your circumstances, you need multiple iterations to go through to successfully develop that capability. So if you're running a company, a site, a department, a team, just ask yourself how you're developing that capability. Do you have a process for it? Okay, so I hope that gives you better understanding of why we are putting the materials online in the platform. There is a fundamentals course that you can take with your team members, and the courses are simple, they're easy to follow, and as you can see on this particular slide, you've not only got overviews but also videos and simple pieces of information. Many of the courses that we've been developing are free. All you have to do is just sign up to be able to access them. But and we're trying to add more courses. That those really free ones are all the level 1 activities, and we're adding more courses as time permits. Being not for profit, we're trying to invest as much as we possibly can to make lean accessible to everyone, so that you can learn for yourself how to create and deliver value better, faster, and cheaper, whatever industry you're in. Okay, so this is the ad, really. You can go beyond those free courses to get into level 2 and level 3, and the annual subscription is only £10 a month. It's £119.99, and there's about 20 courses on there currently. Things like performance management, A3 problem solving, rapid problem solving, standardized work. We've just launched some materials on Kaizen, developing Kaizen in the organization. And so if you're interested in it, that's the individual price. It actually works out cheaper for organizations because we don't want to actually have to charge £119.99 per person across across individuals. The other thing that you might like to know is that we have been partnering with organizations where they've been sponsoring us to write courses that we can then put on the platform as well. So if you're interested in that might be something that's mutually beneficial for all of us. If you'd like to inquire about any of the above, it's info@leanuk.org. One last thing, you might like to know that on the 17th to the 19th of April, we can all get off the screens and we can meet each other in person. And we can do that at the Spine in Liverpool for the UK Lean Summit 2022. It just leaves me to ask, what questions do you have? And I have no idea whether anybody will be able to ask a question. Let's just have a look. So, Dan, did we get you at all? No. Let's just see whether we can. Can it? No, still can't hear you, Dan. No, I still can't hear you, Dan. I'm sorry. So sorry to everybody. Okay. So okay, so I think that's basically a whole series of people. Okay, so okay, so few people said they like the poster. Do you have some statistics on the perception of the poster? It looks too crowded. Yeah, I think Valeria, that's a good point. But I think I said this in the script. What typically happens with people is they think when they first see it that it looks complicated. But actually, as a teaching aid, when you go through each of the pieces and you link that back through to the job instruction on the poster, people really appreciate it. And we've had we get a lot of actual potential builds and improvements to it, improving the flow, etc. And I think we're on some of them, we're like iteration 4 and 5 of the poster. Ryan said, currently we're doing the same this way, make the standard, measure and promote the level for the organization. Yeah, okay, so that's good. I'd be interested, Ryan, to find out how you're getting on with that at some point. Yeah, and how many lean experts does it take to unmute the microphone? Well, to be quite honest, last year was a nightmare with this particular software, and it doesn't seem to have had any continuous improvement this year either. So not to worry. There we go. Okay, so okay. One of the other questions. It's important to start with a combination of everything you list here. Unfortunately, I've found in practice that more than lean methods, it's important to start using common sense and then lean practice. Well, yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so some of these are not. Yeah. Okay. Right. So can't see any other. Anybody else got any questions? Can your pre-summit black belt opportunities include people internationally? I need some English-based experience to improve job opportunities in Portugal. This isn't about belts. It's definitely not about belts. As we talked about in the session, what's really important in this is thinking about learning as a journey rather than as a staged gate activity. And I think the more you can think about it that way, the more you'll realize that the belt thing is just a hoodwink exercise by consultants to sell training, really. But that's just a view. Okay. Right. So I think that's pretty much it. If we can't get down into the into the session. What a shame. Okay, so hope you found it interesting. Let's hope that the technical issues aren't as disruptive for the rest of the 24 hours, and hopefully I'll catch up with some of you throughout the session. Thanks very much.